Everywhere we look today, we seem to get the message that having more stuff is the key to happiness. We think that the more of this we spend, the happier we'll be. Sadly, many Americans believe this, and they're racking up thousands of dollars in debt every year in order to keep up with the Joneses. Today, I want to talk to you about why debt is actually something that should be avoided at all costs. I became interested in this topic a few years ago when I attended a seminar at my church about finances. I learned a lot about budgeting and debt management, and a few years later, I took a course to become a financial counselor. The three things I want to impress upon you today are that debt is actually a form of slavery, that the final price of paying off a debt is far greater than the initial cost, and that if you're already in debt, you can begin today to get out. So let's begin. My first point is that debt is a form of slavery. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Slavery is a pretty harsh word to use in this day and age. In the Bible, in Proverbs 22:7, it says, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." Think about that for a moment. When you owe somebody money, they have a certain amount of power over you. Until you pay them back, they have the right to hold it over your head. If you don't pay them back, they may come and take something of yours or bring legal action against you. Any money you do receive in the meantime isn't really yours. At least a portion of it has to go towards paying that person off. Another way that debt is a form of slavery is that it impedes your future purchasing opportunities. While you're paying off a debt, you have less money to spend on things you'd like to be buying now, unless, of course, you choose to just keep going further into debt. And also, if your credit rating becomes negatively affected by your debt, you may find it difficult or even impossible to purchase a house or a car later. This brings me to my second point, that debt actually costs a lot more than you would think. I'd like to give you a personal example. Within the last 2 years, my sister and I have both bought cars. Now, I paid cash for my car. I walked away from the dealership and that car is mine. I don't have to worry about what's going to happen if I can't make a payment. My sister, on the other hand, took out a loan to buy a Mini Cooper. Now, this car is really cute and it's fun to drive. But Emily's paying about 4 times more than I did for my car. Sure, she has a service plan and a warranty, but she's also paying a lot more for car insurance than I have to pay. And Emily would tell you that it's not worth the price because she keeps going back and forth between, "I love my car," and "I owe so much money." Think of it a different way. Have you ever gone to a store where for 10% off today's purchase you can get a store credit card? And maybe every time you use that credit card, you're going to get another discount. But if you don't keep the balance paid off every month, interest will make sure you don't actually save that much money. Plus, you'll be notified of when they have sales, which means you're more likely to go to the store and buy something than you would have otherwise. Now let's talk for a moment about interest, which I just mentioned. Interest, as you probably know, is that extra little amount that's owed every month on your credit card statement or your loan payment. Crown Financial Ministries teaches that an initial loan of $1,000, by the time you're done paying it off plus interest, you may have paid well over $2,000. The longer it takes you to pay off the loan, the more interest you're going to pay. And now a lot of companies also will have a minimum amount required every month. If you're only making that minimum payment, it's going to take you about twice as long to pay off, which means twice as much interest. Let me take a moment here and talk about 3 times when a little bit of debt may be acceptable. In his book, Your Money Counts, Howard Dayton gives 3 criteria for when accruing debt is okay. The first is when you're purchasing an asset that has the potential to increase in value or to earn an income. This would be like buying a house that you plan to fix up. When you eventually sell the house again, you'll be able to sell it for more than you paid for it. The second time debt is acceptable is when the value of the object exceeds or equals the amount you're paying for it. Think of a car or maybe an antique that you know to be worth more than the dealer is asking for it. Finally, it's okay when the cost of the item won't put undue strain on your budget. Think of this as like a credit card that you keep for emergencies only, and the balance is paid off completely every month. Now that I've told you why debt is a form of slavery, and why the final price is far more than the initial cost, and told you about 3 times when it is okay, let's talk about what to do if you're already in debt. First, you can decide today to incur no more debt. I would encourage you to go home today and cut up your credit cards. Maybe keep one for emergencies only and put it somewhere where you won't be able to just pull it out every time you want to use it. Also, start a savings account so that you can start building up funds to use for later purchases. The second step is to start a budget. Crown.org and DaveRamsey.com are both great places to find good resources for budgeting. Start to figure out where and how much you're spending, and then figure out ways that you can cut things back or cut them out completely. Finally, begin paying off your debts. Crown again teaches that you should pay off the smallest debts first, then the ones with the highest interest rates until eventually you're debt-free. Finally, if you're like me and you're currently out of debt, good for you. If you haven't already, start a savings account so, again, you can have money built up for future purchases. The next time a debt becomes an option, look for alternatives. Pay as much cash as you possibly can for a car. Apply for scholarships and grants for tuition. Things like that will help keep you from having to take out a loan. And if you do, then you'll be able to put down a bigger down payment than normal. In conclusion, I hope today I have taught you that debt is a form of slavery, that the final price of a debt is more than the initial cost, and that you can begin today to get out of debt. We can reject this idea that stuff equals happiness. If you'd like to learn more about the topics I discussed today, I recommend the book Your Money Counts by by Howard Dayton. It's available from Crown Financial Ministries. And to sum everything up, I would like to quote American philosopher Bill Earl, who said, "If your outgo exceeds your income, then your upkeep will be your downfall." Thank you.